She's fresh back from that funeral. Thanks for joining us, Katie. Obviously a sad occasion, but can you tell us about the discussions there, the mood when it comes to these horrible undercurrents of the way she was treated by her own party?
Well, thank you, Chris. It was an absolutely extraordinary funeral for an extraordinary woman. It went for 3 hours, and there were so many deep and moving tributes, but this sort of undercurrent of unsaid things. It was quite extraordinary, and Andrew's eulogy was amazing, but a lot of pain. He was talking about something that sounds like it had been going on for a long time, and he actually said he wished he could have done more. So it was actually very hard to hear. You know, a young woman, she was only 52, struck down, you know, in the prime of her political career. She was extremely well respected by the Australian public, but also in a bipartisan way, for a woman who stood up for what was important, who stood up for human rights. We had the representative of the Dalai Lama there, and that is an absolute tribute to someone who had real spine and really believed in pursuing and defending our democracy. So there was a lot of people from my side of Parliament there as a mark of respect, and I think you know, it was an extraordinary funeral, but what was unsaid was also extraordinary. There was sort of this sombre tone, you know, this deep sense of grief that, you know, a woman's been struck down in the prime of her life, but more than that, that we've lost a democracy warrior.
Yeah, she was certainly an extraordinary woman, and we were very pleased to have a relationship with her on this program. It's very sad that she's passed, and so much was said so eloquently today. But let's talk about those issues of bullying, Katie, because you've addressed them before in the Liberal Party, and they should be addressed whenever people are bullied, but especially women in their workplace in Parliament. But I would say in the past, when the focus has been on the Liberal Party, the media has been in a frenzy, and the left side of politics has been in a frenzy about it, yet they seem very disinclined to address it on the Labor side.
Yeah, the word hypocrisy does come to mind. In my view, it should be an issue that's completely above politics with regards to we want to ensure that every woman feels safe in every workplace. And the fact that someone as strong as Kimberley Kitching, someone who is a warrior for democracy, should then make her own formal complaint as part of the Jenkins review that was initiated by our side of Parliament to ensure the safety of every woman in that parliamentary environment. I mean, the irony of that seems to me extraordinary, and you know, she deserves for her legacy to be honoured. She was someone who fought for the right things, and she was someone who fought for looking after and defending the justice of others. I think in memory of her that we should make sure that her complaints, her formal processes are acknowledged and investigated. I think that would be the only thing to do in this situation. Yeah,
you would think the Labor Party is going to have to roll over and have some sort of an inquiry. Is one of the issues here the way we define bullying? Because obviously Senator Wong, Gallagher and Keneally have been internal enemies, I suppose, internal adversaries of Kimberley Kitching. Senator Wong admits making a very, very unkind remark, which she later apologised when it became public. But she says none of this amounted to bullying, but she was certainly ostracised from their party processes. Does that amount to bullying?
Well, I know that she was under extraordinary pressure, and that was kind of well known in Parliament, that she was anxious about the fact that she hadn't been pre-selected. I hadn't heard the other remarks that were made, but hearing that public claim by Senator Wong that she didn't understand, that saying you didn't have children so you wouldn't understand the implications of climate change in any environment, that is a hurtful statement to make. And then to turn around and say, well, only when it was made public was she aware that that's a hurtful statement. In my first speech, I said women need choice, they want choice, and that some women choose not to have a child, and so for some, the choice is made for them, and we should never judge. So for anyone to make comments about a biological situation for some person, or their health concerns, or their situation, and then to say you wouldn't understand issues as important to this country and to the globe as climate change, seems to me quite extraordinary. And to not have that insight, it's deeply hurtful. So I think that for me, it's hard for me to comment about what might go on in another party. But what I would say is if that person themselves has made a formal complaint, then that formal complaint should be followed through, because we need to understand what Kimberley was complaining about, what was the allegation that she wanted investigated, and to understand whether that was followed through properly, and whether she was satisfied with the outcome, because we need the voice of women who feel that things are not going right for them. They need to be heard. They need to feel there is a proper process, and it may well be, the outcome may not be the way some people think it might be, but the important thing is the process comes to a conclusion, because it was important before she died, and it's equally important, if not more important, now that she has died.
Katie, thanks for joining us on such a sad day.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Dr. Katie Allen there. No cheap political points, just a very, very fair argument that the same standards should apply, that an investigation should be pursued, that Kimberley Kitching's memory deserves these claims to be investigated.